All right, so we have the sign in and sign up screens. Now the next thing we want is our backend, right? So we don't have the backend yet. So even though we have the form, when you sign up or sign in, nothing happens because we don't have the backend, right? So if you go to the screens, sign in, for example, when the button is pressed, we are making a post request to this endpoint where we're sending all this information, and then that's how we're going to log the user in or save in the database, all that stuff. To do that, you need to have a backend. So you need to have a database connection, and you will be interacting your front end, your mobile application will be interacting with your backend to save certain things in the database, get something from the database, that standard server or API. That's what we need. Now, developing API from scratch is going to take some time, obviously, and that is something you need for all the projects, right? You need to have the backend, you need to have the authentication, the most importantly. You need to have the login and registration system, and if you want to use that in production, you also need to have the forgot password feature. So you will be sending some kind of a password reset code to their email address, all that standard authentication. That is something you need for almost any application you build, and that happens to me as well. Sometimes I want to create a project for myself, for my personal use, or for my work, or for creating courses. Every time I have to create this authentication again and again and again. Now I've had enough of that, so I have created a tool which is extremely exciting, and this is the first time I'm going to actually give it a try. So with that, in just a couple of seconds, you're going to have your backend up and running with complete authentication. Now, if that sounds like a dream, that's not a dream, that is reality. I guess I have developed the package which will give you the ability to generate authentication with complete Node Express API in just a matter of seconds. So to start using that, obviously we have to have the database connection. So you can use Mongo Atlas, get the connection string from Mongo Atlas, or if you have the MongoDB installed locally, you can use that as well. And then to send the email for this forgot password feature, you're going to sign up to SendGrid, and that's all you need. You put that in the environment variables, and you have the server up and running. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about. So let me go to, you can search for Colorado GitHub. And I have created this Colorado. This is an NPM package, which is a helper tool for generating routes, controllers, models, and most importantly, the full authentication system in Node.js. All right, so all you have to do is install Colorado globally. So npm install-g Colorado. You run that command, and then you create a folder wherever you want to create a server. For example, you can create a folder by the name of server, and then from inside that folder you will run this command Colorado make auth, and that will give you the complete authentication system ready to go. Okay, so this is a dream come true. So I have the steps here, so you can see update your environment files, the variables there, with real MongoDB connection URI and SendGrid API keys to start using emails. So we're going to sign up to Mongo Atlas, get the connection string, and get the API keys from SendGrid, put that in the environment variables, and that is all you need to do. Then you will run npm install to install all the packages, and then npm start, and you will have your server running with complete authentication. You can go visit this URL and have a look at the running API. All right, and then each time, all this we will be covering. So each time you create a new routes file, you need to make sure to import that in the index.js, and that's about it. For password reset, the email will be sent. Now if email, usually in production you need to have the email address ending with the domain name. So if you don't have that, most of the time it goes to the spam folder. So make sure to check the spam folder when you testing the forgot password reset feature. And what are the authentication endpoints are available? For example, sign up, sign in, forgot password and reset passwords. Those endpoints are available and they are in routes auth.js. So you can always go and have a look. All right, so that was a bit of an introduction about what we're going to do. So in the next video, we're going to install ColoRauth globally so that we can start using this command that will give us the complete authentication system in matter of seconds. All right, so we're going to generate our server, our API, right? So let's stop this for now. Let me close this, and I want to put both. This is the client folder, this is the client project, and I want to put the server project also here within this folder, links daily. So let me move all this to a client folder. First of all, let me stop this for now. We're not going to need it for a while because we're going to work with the server. And here, this is my project directory here. So this is the React Native application, the front end. So let me put that in a new folder. All right, so let me put that in a new folder. Let's give it a name of client. Okay, call it client. All right, so links daily. Inside that folder, I have this client project, and now I'm going to create a server. So create another folder called server. And server, we're going to generate in seconds, just like magic, using ColoRauth. So let me take it to. So what you can do is npmjs.com. You can go there and you can search for ColoRauth. All right, so this is the one we're going to use. So this one we already used earlier. So you can see helper tool for generating routes, controllers, models, and complete authentication. So all you have to do is install ColoRauth globally. So use this command, copy that. So here we are inside links daily folder. We have the server. Let's get inside server. All right, nothing here. Now here, let's actually we just have to install that globally, so you can run that from anywhere. npm install -g ColoRauth. And once you have, actually I need to use sudo command, sudo npm. Let me just paste that. Alright, so once it's installed globally, we're going to run this command, ColoRauth make auth. Okay, so here that's installed. Now let me run this command, ColoRauth make auth. And you can see here, it has created all these files for us. It has created package.json, gitignore, controllers, routes, some helper functions, a user model. And you can see here, once you update .env variables, your server with full authentication will be ready to use. Just type npm install and npm start and see your API running in the endpoint. Okay, so that's how it's going to work, just like magic, which is incredible. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the env files first, right? So let's go, and you can see here we have the server, and just like magic, we have the server here. Now if you're new to it, I will obviously explain to you. And by the way, if you want to build this server from scratch and want to know how everything is done, most of my full stack courses in Udemy, most of the MonStack, the full stack courses, all of them, pretty much all of them, they have the backend API, and I have always created the server from absolute scratch. So you can always check those courses if you want to learn how to do it from scratch. Otherwise, it is ready to use, and it's very simple to understand as well, which I will explain to you. Actually, I do it now, and then we're going to update the variables here. So this is the only thing you have to do to start this start using this backend. Okay, so you have to have the MongoDB URI, which you can get from Mongo Atlas. So you can sign up to Mongo Atlas and get this connection string for free, and then you can sign up to SendGrid and get the secret key and put that here. That's all you need to do. Put your real email address here, and then you can start using a server. Now let me introduce you to the files and folders directory for a while, and then probably in the next video we're going to get the connection string and sign up to SendGrid. So we have both of these, and we will be ready to use. Right, so here we have the package.json file. It has the start script. When you run npm start, the index.js file will get executed, and it has all these dependencies here, the standard dependencies. We have course, express, json web token, mongoose, the standard stuff. Okay, so let's have a look at the index.js, which is right here. So this is the entry point of our server. Whenever you run npm start, this file gets executed. All right, so basically what we have here is we have express, we have applied course middleware, we have the mongoose to interact with MongoDB, and most importantly we have the authentication routes, which we have imported here, and we have created the express app, put that in a variable app, and then we have the database connection here, and then we have applied these course as a middleware, and also the auth routes that you have imported, the routes file you have applied as a middleware to your express app, and then you are listening to this server in the port 8000. Okay, pretty simple. So that's the entry point. So let's have a look at what we have in the routes file. Right, so routes file is here. We have the auth.js here. So here you can see we are using express router. We have these 4 endpoints: sign up, sign in, forgot password, and reset password. So each time you the server receive a request on these endpoints, these functions will execute. Okay, so you can see these functions you could write here obviously, but that would be a big mess, so we have put that in controllers. Okay, so basically these, whenever you get a request to this endpoint, these functions execute. So let's have a look at sign up first. Let's see how it's done. By the way, you can see they have been imported from there. So let's have a look at the controllers, and now you can see here we have the standard imports. We have the sign up function, and sign up, it will require name, email, and password from the user. There is some validation. If there is no name, no email, we send some error message. Okay, we check for the password length as well, and then we check if the user with this email already exists. If not, we create a new user. Now before we do that, we hash the plain password and we create a new user, new instance of the user, and we save that. Once we save that, we generate a token using a JWT sign, and we use the user's ID to create that token, and then we send the successful response to the client with the token and the user object. So that's how sign up works. Now same with the sign in. When sign in, you can see here user email and password will be sent here, so we receive that in the request body, and then we try to find the user from the database based on that email. If there is no user with that email, then we send this error message. Otherwise, we compare the password, the plain password that they send, and the hashed version that is saved in the database. If that match, then we can successfully log the user in. So we generate the token and again send the user and token as a response. So that's how sign in also gets successful. And for forgot password, if they forgot the password, we will ask them to enter the email address. When they enter the email address, we receive that here, and then we find the user based on that email. If we don't find that user, then obviously we send the error message. If we find that user, then we generate a code generate short 5-digit code, save that in the user database, and also email that. And we're going to use SendGrid. You can see here we have to pass the secret key, and that's pretty much it. Really easy to use this one. All right, so we send the email with that reset code, which is also saved in the database. So when they receive that email, they will enter the code in the app and hit submit. So at that time we will receive that code. So we will find the user again in this reset password. We will find that user based on the email and the reset code, and also they will be sending the new password. So if we can find the user based on the email and reset code, then obviously we get that user, update his forgotten password with the new password, and that way he will be able to log in with the new password. Okay, so that's there, the complete authentication. So only thing now you haven't checked is the models. The user model, you can see here user model. So user model, basically you can think of it as a users table in a standard MySQL database. So in users collection in MongoDB, you will be able to save, retrieve the data, update, delete, all that using the models. Right? So first, when you create a user, you define the model. So you are basically telling the application what fields will be able to saved in the database. So name, email, and password, and roles will be saved in the database. Also the profile image. All right, that's pretty much it. Standard stuff. Again, if you want to know in depth of how all this is built from scratch, check out my any MonStack courses, and you will get full understanding. Otherwise, as you can see, there is very little code here. This is the entry point. We have the routes imported. We have the routes file. Routes file requires controller functions. So we have the controllers function. They do all the work, creating, saving, generating token and all that, and sending as a response to the client application. And we have the user model as well. Now helpers, you can see helpers has been used in the controller because we need to hash the password and compare the password, plain password with the hashed one, and for that we have some helper functions that is imported here. So we used bcrypt for that to hash the password and to compare the password. Okay, so just like magic, we have this beautiful API with authentication ready to go. So in the next lecture, let's go sign up to Mongo Atlas, get this connection string, sign up to SendGrid, get the secret key, and we are up and running with our beautiful authentication server. Alright, so we want to start our server. Now before we do that, we need to have the database and SendGrid keys, right? Now let's see what happens if you try to start now. So we are inside the server folder. Let's try npm start, and you see the error message, cannot find module.env in server index.js. We have the .env. .env is here. Let me visit. Now you can see here, if you go to the routes auth, so we have these 4 authentication routes, and there's one, the standard one, just for you to give it a try. We have the / as well, /API. So all of them are prefixed with /API because in index.js, when we apply as a middleware, we have prefixed with /API. Okay, so that means you can go give it a try, visit localhost 8000 /API, and that you should be able to receive this as JSON response. So let's come here, let's give it a try. Localhost 8000 /API. Okay, so we don't have it running, so we got this issue which is a little bit weird. Let me just check. .env we have installed, required .env, we have that one. Okay, I know what happened. I haven't run the npm install command, sorry about that. You can see here, once we run this carrot make auth, that will create all the files necessary, but you cannot see the node modules folder because we haven't run npm install. So let's not forget that. Let's run npm install and we'll wait for the env, and that's about it. Okay, so let's run npm install. All right, so all of them have been installed. Now you can go here. Now you can see you have the node modules and all these packages that are mentioned in the package.json and all their dependencies. Everything has been installed here. Awesome. All right, so now it should work. Let's try npm start. Now you get this error message because we don't have the valid MongoDB URI. Obviously we will put that very soon, but at the moment you can see the server is still running. So that means if you visit localhost 8000/API, you will get this in response: hello world from Kilowatt of API. All right, you can see here that is the endpoint. When you make a request, you got this response. Beautiful. All right, so let's go and sign up to Mongo Atlas so that we can start using MongoDB. Now if you have local install of MongoDB, it's very easy. Something like this: your db name, you'll write here, and this is the string you will use. Okay, so if you have the local install of MongoDB, instead of using Mongo Atlas URL, you can just use it like so. So MongoDB ://localhost 27017/ any database name you want to give, just write it, and that's about it. When you run the application, your backend will automatically create a database by this name. Okay, so if you have MongoDB installed locally, nice and easy, that's all you have to do. But if not, no problem, we go and sign up to Mongo Atlas and we put that string here. Let's do it. So let me open a new window for that. Mongo Atlas. Okay, try free. Okay, so I'm just going to sign up with Google, so it's nice and easy, but obviously you can choose either way. Ryan Stripe Seller at gmail.com. Okay, yes, accept. Okay, so when you sign up for the first time, this is the window you get, and hopefully they will redirect us to the dashboard. Okay, so they ask some questions. No worries. Build a new application. What type of application you're building? We're building Internet of Things. Let's write. Oh, actually, mobile. It doesn't really matter. What is your preferred language? JavaScript. Okay. We want to try the free one, obviously. Create a shared cluster. All right. So this UI sometimes it might change in future, but just focus on the details and you should be good to go. So we choose the shared free version. Come down here. By default, AWS is chosen. That's all right. I live here in Sydney, so that is selected, but you can select any other places near you, no problem there. And that is the 512 MB of storage we get on free plan. All right, cluster name, we can give a cluster name. Let's call it Links Daily and create a cluster. Alright, so how would you like to authenticate your connection? Username and password, that's the one. So username, this is different username, okay? This is not the one that you use to sign up, or sign up using email or Google email, not that one. This is the database user. Alright, so let me just call it Ryan. And password, I'm just going to just keep simple. Create a user. Alright, so database user has been created. Make sure you remember this username and password, alright, because you need to enter this one later in the URL string. So make sure you remember that. Alright, so once you have that, the IP address you want to enter. Now you want to choose all IP address. So it looks like that doesn't have add entry. Add my current IP. Okay, so add my current IP. Now sometimes you might get some issues later because of the IP. You can always check out these menu options. You can see there's a network access. When you go there also you will be able to set the IP address. So this is the current IP. Now you can choose another one, add IP address, this option. I think it's happening, so just wait. Okay, so you can see you have this button. You can click allow access from anywhere. So when you do that, you don't have to manually add your IP address. It will be you'll be able to connect from any computers, which is good. Obviously you might want to change it a bit later when you're running it in the production, but you will still have the username and password, so obviously there is security there. Alright, so we were going through the steps earlier, but like I said, you can go to each of these options from this sidebar as well. Now once you have that network access allowed from all the IPs, we can go to databases, and it is being created. So let's wait a few minutes and then we should be able to start using it. Okay, so once it's done, I think we will get the connection string by clicking here. Alright, it's done and we have this clickable now. It is clickable. Let's click. To get the connection string, we need this option, connect to your application. Alright, so let's click on that one, and this is the URL string you get. So you can see here the username is already there, password field including this what do you call this tag opening and closing. So here you have to put your password, database password that you created earlier. All right, so let's copy this one and let's go to our application. All right, so here let me select from here to all the way here, and here you're going to paste that. Okay, so paste that. So that's the connection string, and you can also see here replace password with the password for the Ryan user. All right, what else they say? My first database with the name of database. That connection will be used by default. All right, so password, let's remove that, and use the database user password, which was just RRR in my case. All right, so that's a username, that's password at, and that is the URI given to us by MongoDB. Awesome. So that's all you need to start using Mongo. At least now you can give it a try, and once you start saving anything in the database, you'll be able to click on this button and browse your database. You know, all the users, posts, whatever you have, they will appear here. Okay, you can visually look at your database. At the moment we don't have anything. All right, so that's looking good. Now let's start the server one more time. This time we should not see the database connection error like before. All right, so let's run this, and you can see here we got the successful message database connected. Awesome. Now that message is coming from the entry point index.js. We have the database connection here. If there was any error, we were console logging the error. Otherwise, we console logged DB connected. So it is great. We have successfully connected our application to MongoDB. Now we can actually start using this API. We can start making requests, start saving the user in the database. But before we do that, let's also do one more thing. Let's sign up to SendGrid and get the secret key so that we can later implement forgot password and send the reset code to the user's email. Alright, so let's go ahead, sign up to SendGrid so that we can start using the email service. So let me sign up SendGrid. SendGrid start for free. Okay, so enter the email address ryanstripeseller@gmail.com. Password. Oh my god, it's 16 characters. Alright, I just typed my password twice and thank god it was 16 characters long. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they did it, but we don't have a choice, do we? Let's create an account. Okay, Ryan Tingle Company, Colorado. Okay, phone number, developer, how many? 0 to 100,000. How many employees? 1 to 500. Get started. Thank god they didn't require my email. Phone number. Alright, now you can see we have this beautiful dashboard here on the side, and I guess we have to go to the settings and get the API keys. Now before we get the API key, before we create that, you can see there's a notification, ready to send your first email. Follow our guides for email API. Okay, that's not the one. There should be another option where we have to actually sign up. We have to do something, otherwise the emails don't work. That one, let me just double check here. Account details, alert settings, that's not the one. Sender authentication, yeah, that is the one. Okay, looks like we don't need to do anything at the moment. Maybe they changed. Otherwise we had to verify the sender email. You know, you enter the email address, they would send you the test email or something. That's only then you would be able to start using API keys, but looks like we don't have to at the moment, which is good. Alright, so let's create API keys. Let's give full access, create and view, or API name. Let's say Ryan links daily React native app. Okay, so that's my API key. Let me copy that, and don't expose this, don't share this with anyone. Okay, don't push this to GitHub. Make sure you have gitignore files, because once it is exposed it will not work. I'm showing this to you because once this recording is done I will be deleting this. Alright, so make sure you keep that safe, and once you get that you can just put here. Awesome. Now we should be good to go with sending emails as well. Now if we have any issues, obviously we'll come back and fix, but otherwise it looks alright. I was hoping there was some kind of a sender authentication or some kind of step used to be before, but at the moment I don't really see that. But we can always come back and check that later. Oh, actually it's here, create a sender identity. Before sending a first email, you'll need to create a sender identity. Yeah, that's the one. You have to do that, otherwise the emails won't be sent. Okay, let's complete this one as well. Create a single user. Now, because we're not using the email ending with the domain name, for example, Ryan at mywebsite.com, since we're not using that, these emails end up in a spam folder. Okay, so make sure to check your spam folder later. Don't forget that, please. Okay, so create a sender. Ryan, from email address we will be using Ryan Stripe seller at gmail.com. Reply to attempting to send from a free email address, domain like is not recommended. Yeah, that's why they put it in the spam folder, but unfortunately we don't have our own domain email, so that's all right. We can try with this one. Company address. Oh, come on. Okay, city. Why they need all these details? Oh, that's for US. Country. Okay. Nickname is also required. How fun is that? Alright, let's create it. Sender has been created. To verify, check your inbox. Alright, let me check my inbox. Okay, that's great. We got that email. Their service is pretty good, I can tell you that. Let's verify a single sender so that we can, yes, obviously. Sender verified. Congratulations. Perfect. All right, so we are done with our magically created API with Node.js, Express, and all the other good NPM packages. All right, so let's go back. All right, so in the next video we're going to start making post requests from our client-side application, because there is not much to do in the backend. It's all ready to go. All right, so we have our authentication API, which we generate using Colorado, and now we can focus on the front end, start making requests from the sign up and sign in pages. So we will start from the sign up. First thing we need to do is sign up the user. Then a user can sign in, right? So let's work on the sign up screen and make sure you have both running. All right, so you have to have your server running and obviously the app running as well. And there's one more thing, and that is if you are using the actual device by scanning this code on your phone, if you're running it in your actual mobile device, then you will have some issues when you try to send a post request to your backend, because your backend is running in your local computer, right? So backend is running in localhost. However, when you run it in your device by scanning this, that requires your backend to be available on the web. Obviously, your mobile device cannot access your computer because the local host is only in your computer, not on the mobile device. It is not accessible. Okay, but there is an easy solution and it is pretty cool. So I'm going to show you that tool, and that is called I forgot the name. Tunnel. Let me just try to remember that one is called local tunnel. I will show you. Using that tool, it is very easy, and with that one single command you will be able to access your local host on the live server. Okay, which is pretty awesome. So I'll show you that one if you're trying it on the actual device, but otherwise we just continue with this one. And if you're obviously using it on the actual device, you can just follow along and then you can give that a try. Okay, so I'll show you that once we're done here. I'll show you that one. So let's go to the screen, client screen, sign up. So we start from here. So here we have the handle submit, right? So handle submit. We try to make request to localhost 8000 sign up. We already have that, which is pretty cool. So we can actually have a look at it in the console. Let's see what we get, because we have the server running already. All right. So let's see what we get here. Okay, so we got that server running. Now let's make a request. Let me try creating this user with that email and then this password. Sign up successful. How good is that? You can see here, sign up successful. Okay, so we made a request. You can see the console, the server console, and here we have console logged the response. So you can see sign in successful, and the console log the data, and this is the response we got on successful sign up. So we got the token and we got the user information. Awesome, right? Now we can save this token and user information in the context. So we need to create a global state. We could put this response in this components here. We could put in the state, local state, but that is not useful because we need to access the currently logged in user in so many other screens. So we need to have the application level state, and for that we could use Redux, or we can just create our own Redux like global state using use context hook, and that is the one we're going to try, so that we can just focus on React and don't have to depend on another libraries like Redux. All right, so we're going to, once we get the response, we're going to save the token and the user information in the context state, and also we're going to save in the local storage. Now local storage is the name used in the web development. The browsers, they have local storage. The application, the mobile apps, the device, they have something similar to local storage, but they call it async storage. All right, so we will be saving that in the async storage, but it's pretty much same as local storage. So the saving and retrieving, those methods are same. So that way, when user logs in, we can save that information in the async storage, and we can redirect the user to some other page, and that way user can create new links or submit new posts or links. They can upload the password, they can upload the profile image, do everything else. Okay, so sign up successful, that's great. Now let's go and give it a try with sign in. So we have the same user, this user have signed up. Now let's see what we get when we sign in. Okay, so let me sign in, let me try this one. Okay, so we got some issues here. Can't find a variable name. Okay, so I think what we did, let me go to the sign in. Okay, so we are still checking for the name because we copied this code from the sign up. So obviously we don't need name to sign in. So let's remove that. Okay, so email and password, that's all we need. And we are sending email and password. Okay, I think that's it. We just had to remove the name field. All right, so let's try. Let me just reload the device. Sign in successful. Awesome. Now at the moment we just saw the alert and user is still here, but obviously later we have to redirect the user to some other screen, right? So we don't want to keep them here once they log in, but at the moment we still here because we have to do some more work here. We have to push this response to the context, and then we also have to save in the local async storage. But as you can see here, login on sign in also we get this response token and user. Beautiful. Alright, so it is working. Sign up and sign in both working. However, if you're using the actual device, obviously you cannot access the local host, so there will be an issue. Alright, so let me show you how you could do it. First thing you want to do is use this npm package called local tunnel. Npm local tunnel. Alright, so you can see here local tunnel exposes your local host to the world by for easy testing and sharing. Okay, so that's simple as that. Expose your local host to the world. Alright, so what you have to do is you have to install localhost. You can install globally. Alright, so let's run this command. So let me open a new tab, come here and install it globally. Okay, I have to use sudo once it is installed globally. You can check out the list of global packages you have in your computer as well. You can run this command to check. You can see I have these commands installed globally and local tunnel is there. Alright, so once you have that, all you have to do is this one, local tunnel lt -- port, and which port you want to expose to the whole world. Your local host, that is 8000. Our server is running on 8000, so all we have to do is run this command lt -- port and give the port name. And what that will do is that will give you the URL, temporary URL, where you can access your server. Alright, so we have it running on the localhost 8000. Make sure it is running. Alright, so make sure it is running, and then you can come to another terminal, and all you have to do is local tunnel -- let me check here, local tunnel port -- port, and then you type the port number 8000. That's where our server is running, and you hit enter, and that will give you this unique URL. Now on this URL, your local host, your server is accessible on the internet. Okay, how cool is that? So let's copy that, make sure it is running, right? So next time you stop your server, Control C and stop this one, that will not be accessible. Okay, it is for the temporary use only. So next time when you do the same thing, you might have your server running and you might want to access it like this on your device. That time it will be different. All right, so that time again you have to come back and make this change. Okay, so that's important. Now let me try this and see what we get. Okay, so this is as same as accessing your localhost 8000. So let's click to continue, and you can see of course we don't have any route on that one, but if you go to /API, you see whatever data you see in your localhost is now accessible on the web. This is very, very cool. All right, so that's great. Now that also means we have to come here and make a change, right? Now we could make a change here, but it's better if we create a file. Let's create a config file so that we can put the URL there, so that we don't have to just manually update on each and every file. All right, so inside client folder, let me create a new file. Let's call it config.js, and here export const, let's call it API equals to, paste this URL. Now obviously later you might have to change it. When you run that command again, it will change, so that time also make sure to come here and change it. And also you can use localhost if you're running it locally, it doesn't matter, you can still have this file. Now we can access this one API in your screens. Let's start from sign up. Let's import that. Now we need to destructure because it's not default export. Okay, so we need to import like destructure from. So we go one step up, get inside config, and we bring the API from there, and then instead of this hard-coded URL, we just use API. Awesome. Now let me copy this and go to sign in as well. Import on top and then replace this with API. Perfect. Okay, now instead of localhost, we are making request to this URL, this one /API. Let's make sure we have /API. That's important. Okay, so now we are making request to this endpoint. Now you can continue using the local device, obviously. So let's give it a try with the local device, and then I will show you how you can use it on the actual your phone. So let me try another user, Ryan1. Okay. Now sign in doesn't work, obviously, because we don't have this user. The error message at the moment, sign in. If there is error, we have to show some kind of error message. Alert, sign up failed, try again. Okay, and that is something you can also use in the sign up. I think we are getting the error message from the backend as well, so probably if you use that, that would be better. Okay, at the moment let's leave it like this. We'll look into this one. Let me just show you how you can actually register. So let me use Ryan1. Let's try to sign up. Okay, sign up failed. Sign up failed. Okay, sorry, my bad. It should be. So that gives us this URL. So it's similar to saying localhost 8000/API, but we still need to give the sign up sign in endpoint, right? So we did do that. Let me just fix that up. So backticks, curly brace, $, so that's our variable there, /sign up. All right, so we need to have that sign up, and let's go to the sign in. Backticks, $/sign in. Awesome. So we got the sign in and sign up endpoint. We're making requests. Now let's give it a try. Ryan1. Sign up successful. How good is that? You can see here we're using this URL, but it's still we have been able to sign up because this URL basically represent localhost. That is awesome. And we got the response. Now this is Ryan1. You can see, pretty cool. Now let's see how we can use this on the actual device. So let me screen record on my iPhone. All right, so let me just use this, or you could actually go and use this one as well. This one must have opened up on your browser. So I'm going to screen record on my phone. All right, so I'm going to take a photo, open my camera app, and this will open up in Expo. Okay, so this image looks too big, but obviously you can just change that. Okay, so that is sign in. Let me first try sign up. Now let me try another user, Ryan2 at. All right, so keep the same password, sign up. How good is that? Okay, sign up at the moment. Now let's try login with this user. We have already created an account. Sign in successful. Great. All right, so you can see this is how you can use the local tunnel to easily access your local host on the web. And to stop this one, I can just use Ctrl+C, and that is it. Now if you go to the previous URL, if you go to this URL, it will not be accessible. You can see 404. All right, so you can see I have used the localhost 8000 again, so I'm going to just continue with this one. But if you're using the actual device, of course you will use whatever URL you get from the local tunnel. All right, so I noticed one thing when we were signing up, we didn't get the actual error message, right? So at the moment we have just hard coded this message, but I think we get the actual error. So what is the issue? You know, if the email is already taken, our password is too short or something like that, we should get those error messages from our server. So let me quickly have a look at the server response. Let's go to server controllers auth. So on sign up, if there is no name, we send this error message. Name is required, email, password. If password is less than 6 characters, we send all that. Okay, so that means we have the validation. We have the validation. For anything else, we can show this generic error message. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so if you give the short password or something like that, sign up successful, that should be happening. Okay, we're sending the error message. So why are we saying that? Let's have a look in the sign up. Okay, so we're not checking for the data.error. You can see we are sending the data.error, so we can check for that. All right, and I have a very good tutorial written on that one as well, if you want to check it out. codecontinue.com. This will be useful when you're building the web apps as well. Anytime you're building the Node API, you can easily send the error message like that, which is here in our server. You can see we're sending the error as a JSON response, and you can grab that. So here in the articles, you can search for error. That will filter out the post. So we want to check this one, how to send error message from Node.js, and I have written, you can see the sample code for the server. We're sending the error response, and in the front end you can check for error. So once you get the Axios data, you do structure, you check if there is the error property, you can show some kind of error message. Otherwise you do whatever else you want to do. Okay, so we're going to do something like that here. So here in the sign up, so we get the response data, and we are showing the success message. So now before we do that, let me just cut. I want to take here if data.error. If data.error, then you want to show some kind of error message, else do everything else. So you just put that back in. So here we can show alert, and the error message will be data.error. That's how we get, you can see we got the error. So we just want to show that. So data.error, simple as that. Now later, sometimes you might come across the issue that says data.error is undefined or something like that. Maybe you will have some errors in your server. So whenever you come across situation like that, where you get data cannot read data.error of undefined or something like that, always feel free to just comment the code out. You know, just comment code out and just try console log, just so that you can understand what's happening. When you get the console log your server response, you will see what's going on. Alright, so if you come across issues like that, always do that, otherwise this should work. Okay, and we can do the same thing in the sign in as well. Sign in here. Let me just check for the error first. If data.error, show in the alert data.error, else we do that. Perfect. Now let's give it a try. Sign up. We got only 2 letters in the password, and we get this successful error message coming from the server. Password is required and should be 6 characters long. Beautiful. And if we get that, you can see this loading. We can set the loading to false. I will set loading to false. If there is any error, there is no point showing that one. And you can do the same in sign up. Oh, sorry. Here. Oh, set loading false. Okay, let me just give it a shake. Let's try. Let's try with the wrong password. It's wrong password. That's beautiful. Let's try sign up with only 2 characters password. You will get all that. Beautiful. Awesome. Now we should focus on how to save the response. When we get the successful login, we get this user object and the token. So we have to save that in the async storage, and also we need a context, a global state. So we can work on that in the next lecture. Alright, so we have the sign in and sign up up and running. Everything is looking good so far. So we want to save this response that we get, the token and the user information. We want to save that in the context. So we're going to create a context which is a global state to store user information and token, and we're going to save in the async storage at the same time, so that when the app reload, when the user reloads the app, refresh the app, come back later, whenever that happens, the state data is not lost. We can still retrieve data from local storage. If you don't save in the local storage, when the app reloads, the screen reloads, the user closes, come back again, that time we will not have that state data. All right, so we can save in the local storage. So automatically by default we will try to get the data, the token and user from the local storage, and pre-populate the state each time. Okay, so by default we try to do that. So if it is available there, we will grab from async storage. That way user don't have to keep logging each time, right? Each time some reload happens. So to start using async storage, we need to install this npm library, and this is actually quite long to type. So let me just go to the site just so that we don't make any typos. React Native Async Storage npm. So just copy that command and just let's install. Npm install add React Native Async Storage /async storage. Alright, and then let's check out the, okay, so they don't have the documentation is here. So once we install that, we can import uses. We can import async storage. So let's copy that command. Let's run the server. Let's hit I to open on iOS. Okay, while that's happening, let me close this. And that one, async storage, actually we can try and sign in. Right? Let's try and sign in. Import async storage, and then when we get the response from the server here, when we get this response, what we want to do is first save response in async storage. All right, so we await and use async storage dot set item. So if you have worked with local storage on building web apps, it's going to be exactly the same. So this is async function, so we use await async storage set item. Now this function set item takes two arguments. First one is the name key. Okay, so key we can call it @auth. Okay, so is just a convention. All right, so just let's stick with the convention. So auth, we're going to save this response by the name of auth, and the value is going to be data. Right, so that data we get, that will have the token and user information. Now when you're saving in the async storage, you have to save it in a JSON format. So we can use JSON stringify to convert it to JSON. JSON.stringify. Alright, so that way this response will be saved as a JSON data in async storage by the name of auth. Alright, so we can give that a try, and then we can try console log here, write a function to see how it has been saved. Alright, so just to give it a try, we can do that. So we have the sign in. Let's see if it works. So let me sign in. Okay, sign in successful, it says, which means at this point we should have the response saved in the async storage by the name of auth. Let's check that out. So to check that out, we're just going to write a simple function here. This is something we can remove later. Let's call it load from async storage equals to async. So let's put it in a variable data equals to await async storage dot get item by the name of auth. We set by the name of auth, and to get we use get item. Pretty nice. Set item, get item. Auth, so we want to get item by the name of auth. That's all we need to do, and that will give us the value whatever was there in the data. Right, so we can console log data. Let's leave a bit of a comment here. From async storage. All right. Now, if you want to use this in your application, you want to use JSON.parse, so that it is not a JSON data anymore. It is a JavaScript object, which we will look into a bit later, but at the moment we just want to console log. So we have this function that will give us the this value from the local storage. So let's execute this function, load async storage. All right, so we are in the sign in. Let's go to another screen, come back here in the sign in. We should see this console log. Let's have a look. Okay, that is not the one. Let me give a refresh. Sign in page. Can't find variable load async storage. Okay, sorry, looks like I have a typo here. Load from async storage. Sorry about that. Okay. From async storage, it's no, we have no value. Let's try sign in. Let's try sign in. Alright, sign in successful. From async storage, you can see now we have the data in the async storage. Awesome. Now let me give a refresh, reload, and see what we get. You can see even on the reload we get that. Alright, so it's working. Async storage, we have been able to save the response in the async storage. So let me remove this test function and let me use this in the sign up as well. Okay, so let me just import this one and sign up as well. Sign up and then do the same thing, save in the async storage, sign up. Once we get the data, we do that first, save in the local async storage. So each time you sign up or sign in, we save the response in local storage. Okay, that's great. Now next thing we want to do is create a context, pre-populate the context from the local async storage if there is any data there. All right, so that way the entire application will be able to access the data, the token and user information from context.